Let's talk about Imran Khan, the former cricket star turned prime minister at the center of a political storm in Pakistan.
आखिरी गेंद तक मैं मुकाबला करता हूं।
He was kicked out of office last year, is now facing more than 100 legal cases, and was briefly arrested in May. It led to huge protests and violence. Khan says he's the victim of a conspiracy to force him out of politics for good.
What is happening right now is not because of me.
People in Pakistan are really divided over Imran Khan. His supporters see him as the only hope for the country,
Imran has basically become a prophet of change.
while his opponents accuse him of spreading lies and fueling a toxic style of politics.
This became a two-way fight of rhetoric of like good versus evil.
So who is Imran Khan? Why is he so divisive? And why is politics in Pakistan in such chaos right now? First off, let's run through Imran Khan's backstory. He was born into an upper-class family in Lahore and went to an elite high school. He studied at Oxford University in England, but it was his cricketing career that made him into a superstar. In 1992, he led Pakistan to its first and only World Cup victory, and then retired from the sport.
He's easily the greatest Pakistani cricketer of all time.
A very glamorous cricketer too. That glamour, of course, brought him to the attention of high society in London.
In the early 90s, he was hanging out with rock stars and royalty, and married a British aristocrat. But he was also getting into charity work, and raised money to open a cancer hospital in Lahore in memory of his late mother.
Here's a cricketer, a public icon, trying to provide free cancer care in a country where this was not accessible for most people. And that then translated into a conversation he had about the role of corruption, improving governance, and then his entry into politics.
In 1996, Imran Khan launched his own political party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which means Movement for Justice. He styled himself as an outsider on an anti-corruption mission, but his political career didn't really take off until 2011. That's when he held two rallies in Lahore and Karachi. Tens of thousands of people showed up. He was promising to bring a new kind of politics to Pakistan, and 7 years later, that message helped him get elected as prime minister.
मैं ही आपके सामने ये प्लेज करता हूं कि इंशाल्लाह ये एक बिल्कुल अब मुख्तलिफ किस्म की पाकिस्तान में गवर्नेंस देखेंगे।
Now, until Khan came on the scene, Pakistani politics was dominated by two parties and two families. The Bhutto family, which is linked to the PPP, and the Sharif family linked to the PMLN. That's the party of the current Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif. For years, the two sides have been alternating in power, a pattern that Khan was determined to break.
To demolish what he called the grip of dynastic politics in Pakistan.
He's very popular among young Pakistanis who do not see the old guard as being representative of their ambitions and aspirations. He's also popular among middle and upper middle and elite classes.
They are of the view that Pakistan have been harmed by the politically corrupt elite for too long, and Imran is our hope.
Now, there's another layer in Pakistan's politics that you need to know about, and that's the military. Since Pakistan's independence in 1947, there have been several military coups, and generals have ruled directly for 33 years in total. But when there's been a civilian government, the military still plays a big role behind the scenes.
They have like such a strong, influential meddling going on that no government in Pakistan really gets formed without their involvement.
And it seems that was also the case for Imran Khan, that the military was pretty influential in his rise to power.
This is something which is acknowledged by the military leadership of that time. People who have subsequently came out after the retirement and acknowledged and confessed that yes, we have helped Imran win.
And Khan actually sold himself as a candidate who could work with the military. They were seen as being on the same page.
The constant struggle and tension between civil and military establishments in Pakistan was something that people expected would end with Khan coming into power.
But it didn't. Here's what happened. So it's 2018, and Imran Khan's just been elected prime minister. It was actually a pretty contentious election, and his political opponents accused him of fraud. But Khan was popular, and for a lot of people, it felt like a fresh start. Remember, his big thing was tackling corruption, something he said was at the root of most of Pakistan's problems. So he went on a massive anti-corruption drive. Many politicians and government officials were arrested. Khan's supporters approved, but his critics said it was one-sided and that he was only targeting his political opponents, though Khan denies that. Another criticism was that Khan's approach created a kind of vindictive and divisive political atmosphere.
He made compromise a bad word. You were all in with Khan or you were anti-Khan for whatever reason. That was the conversation.
Khan brought with him an extremely divisive, and some would say hateful style of politics, much of that reflected in the language that he used, haranguing his opponents and accusing them of being thieves and crooks.
सिर्फ हम जिससे मुफाहमत कभी नहीं करेंगे वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने पाकिस्तान की अवाम का पैसा चोरी करके मुल्क से बाहर लेके गए.
Now, the economy was a big issue when Khan was prime minister. He inherited a lot of problems, including a major debt crisis, and he had to deal with COVID too. But the bottom line was that living conditions for most Pakistanis didn't improve under Khan. Inflation soared and the value of the currency fell.
As the economic stress mounted, people sort of began questioning, what this hope and change mantra was all about. And I think that began to then erode his popularity.
Overall, your democratic, your human rights, these things were being impacted. Politicians were thrown in jail, things like that. But economy was also being impacted. And along with these things, Imran's relationship with military also started fracturing.
Now, it's hard to know exactly how Khan's relationship with the military broke down because this is behind the scenes kind of stuff. But strains developed after a couple of years with Khan as prime minister. It seems the military wasn't happy about the way things were looking. The economy was in bad shape. And on foreign policy, Khan seemed to be going his own way with a more anti-Western approach. There was a reported disagreement too over the intelligence chief, who was supposed to leave his job after 3 years, as per military policy, but Khan wanted him to stay.
It was kind of a straw that, if not broke the camel's back, it really made things irreparable from that time onward.
It's always been a marriage of unequals. Every time a politician or a political party has allied itself with Pakistan's military, they always get hurt by it.
By 2022, it seemed pretty clear that the military was pulling their support from Khan by standing back so the opposition parties could go after him. Those parties held a no-confidence vote in parliament, Khan lost, and Shehbaz Sharif replaced him as prime minister. So what's happened since then? Well, Imran Khan's been fighting back against what he says was a conspiracy to remove him from power.
He used to claim, when he was being ousted or close to it, that there was an American conspiracy.
Within a few months, Khan's tune had changed. It has moved from a conspiracy hatched abroad to a conspiracy hatched at home. He has also singled out the serving army chief as having some kind of personal grudge against him.
He's held huge rallies all across Pakistan. At one of them, he was shot in the leg, and he says it was an assassination attempt. Now, Khan's been calling for a general election, and under the constitution, that has to happen by October at the latest. But Khan says his opponents are using a mountain of legal cases, more than 100, to try to exclude him from running.
Every other day, there's some sort of case which comes up at a court appearance.
They include all sorts of allegations, from corruption to terrorism, even attempt to murder.
The military establishment, they're too scared for elections because they're scared I will win. So because of that, they're doing everything to make sure that I get out of the race.
Being convicted on any one of these would lead to his disqualification, which is, I think, what they are trying for.
It all got pretty dramatic in May, when Khan was arrested in connection with one of the cases.
Anger against the arrest of Imran Khan has turned into violent confrontations.
Tear gas shells have been fired at this crowd, blocking the main highway towards Islamabad. These are the protesters, and that in the distance is the police line.
And since that violence, thousands of people linked to Khan's party have been detained, including senior leaders.
An absolutely massive crackdown. Undeniably, the state has really come down hard on Imran and his party in a very brutal manner.
The government is using similar tactics that he tried to use against them, and it's taken things to the next level.
To his supporters, Imran Khan is the ultimate political victim, and everything that's happened in the last year or so has actually boosted his popularity.
By all accounts, Imran Khan today is Pakistan's most popular politician. I think there is agreement that if elections were to be held tomorrow, he would win.
So Imran Khan is as popular as he's ever been, and disillusionment with the current government of Shehbaz Sharif probably has something to do with that. There's a full-blown economic crisis. Pakistan is running out of foreign currency and could soon default on its debts if it can't secure more loans. And millions of people are still dealing with the aftermath of last year's floods that left a third of the country underwater. So while this brutal political fight is going on, there are so many other urgent problems stacking up.
4 million people just over a few months have fallen below the poverty line. And I don't think any segment of elite society, politically or institutionally in Pakistan, and that includes the military, has an answer to solving these problems. And that's the real tragedy here.
Complete chaos happening. And it's easy to blame Imran Khan for it, or military for it, or this class or that class. And all of these allegations have partial merits. But ultimately, the people who are suffering are the people of Pakistan, the country as a whole.
Check out our last explainer on why Arab countries are cozying up to Syria's President Bashar al-Assad. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Start Here.